Good morning, Vesta. How are you? Sorry I am like a minute or so late. I got distracted and had to go back and look through the cutting instructions that I gave yesterday because I was second guessing myself, but I did it right. So we're good. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, you're supposed to be going live. Hi, Kay. Thank you for being here. Let us know where you're watching from. Hi, Lori. So this morning, if you are participating in the Card Play Summer Online Retreat, which is May 31st and June 1st with Karen Titus, Holly, myself, and 2 other demonstrators, if you are participating and you paid for the Make and Take package, which has your cardstock, your DSP, your embellishments, your ribbon, and the envelopes, everything that you need to make our 8 make and takes featuring the Country Wood Suite. Those went out in the mail this morning and they shipped priority. So be looking for some Happy Mail. Okay, who's all here? Hi, Linda. Hi, Susan. Okay, great. It's so great to be back with everybody at the regular time. My husband is at the beach getting some sun. I used to enjoy that, but ever since I've been having some skin cancer scares and skin checks since losing my dad to metastatic melanoma, then I've been pretty careful. My dermatologist says I can still get out in the sun, but wear sunscreen, but I'm a little apprehensive. So we did go out and we bought me an umbrella that attaches to my chair so that I can, get out of the sun. So it's just one of those things to be very careful about and pay attention to. How many of you back in the day, it was baby oil and iodine. We were laying out in the sun as soon as it was 65 degrees. And so when I was young, I abused that skin that I thought that was going to be with me forever. And since then, let's see, I've only gotten out of the dermatologist's office twice without a biopsy. And this last time, she said, "You're good." And I'm like, "What? You're not taking anything off?" And she said, "No, you're good." So we'll see. We check every 6 months. So, hi, Deborah. So today what we're going to do is we're going to revisit something that I showed back in June of 2022. I was for sure that there was a PDF in the files for this, and I just checked and there is not. I don't know why, because I've got a graph and everything, but this is really, really easy. And as I get caught up on other projects that I have to create PDFs for, I can go back and do some, but just be patient. And the past couple of weeks and even today's project is one of those that as long as you have all your pieces cut, you can follow along with the live and you're going to do just fine. Okay? So we're going to do that, and we're instead of making a lot of small pieces, we are going to work with big pieces, and then we're going to chop it up and it just looks like you cut smaller pieces, but you didn't. It's easier on the hands. It's, easy to handle the pieces. So I think that this is going to be a go-to for you when you want to just create one big pattern, chop it up, and know that you're going to get 4 card fronts to make 4 cards. So, hi, Kay. So while I am flipping the camera around, please greet each other, say good morning. This is where I just move a few things around on my desk, and then we'll get right to it. And I got to remember how to flip. I think that one. And I don't want to make anybody dizzy by doing all of this too fast. Now I have to flip the mirror. That's better. Okay, we're almost there. Almost there. Okay. Let me bring this stuff over here. All right, before we get started, can I show you some Happy Mail that I've gotten lately? Oh, Linda, you have a fawn? Oh my gosh, how precious. Yes, the birds are really busy here too. What's been so neat is I've actually had some warblers in the neighbor's maple. I had a blackburnian. We've had a black-throated blue. For vireos, we've had a red-eyed vireo singing every morning and then in the evening. My favorite are the chimney swifts that are early in the morning and late in the evening, just flying right above the house, just scooping up all the bugs that they can. It's one of my favorite little chirps. This is just like the best time of the year. The birds are singing. They're trying to impress the ladies so that they can have their families, and it's just a great time. But Linda, to have a fawn, oh my gosh, that tops it all. Hi, Darlene. Oh, Deborah, your lives aren't working. Gosh, I sure hope that you don't have problems today. Debbie had baby oil in a spray bottle. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I learned the baby oil and iodine from my mom. You know, that it goes back even to when my mom was young, and they wanted to. Oh, and here's another thing. Our way of thinking back in the late 70s, early 80s was get that sunburn because then you'll tan from that point on. So silly thinking, but you couldn't tell us any different back in the day. So I want to show you something that Linda McEwen had, if you had seen her post, she put out this most generous offer about these glue sponges. And so I asked her if I could be on the list. And so I got my glue sponge in the mail just a couple of days ago. And this is the neatest little thing. And I can't wait to try it out. So instead of trying to hold tiny pieces and put your liquid glue on the back, I will get used to using these things. This just, you know, I'm just used to tweezers being open and then you close them instead of they're closed and then you push and they're open. But this way you can just put that piece down on top of the sponge that has the glue and put it down. So Linda, this is exciting. I was so excited to get this in the mail. So thank you for that. Did anybody else take Linda up on her offer? I just thought it was like the most generous thing ever. And then we've got, I want to show you this card that Vesta had sent me. A lot of times, less is more when it comes to a card. And the simplicity of this card, I just love, because the designer series paper is setting the vibe, and the colors are setting the vibe, and just a few embellishments and a greeting, and I just thought, wow, and it just, less is more. There's so many times when cards, now I'm one who can't stop. I keep looking at a card and I'm like, what else can I add to it? So I appreciate cards like that because it reminds me that you don't have to pull out all the stops. You know, just don't ever think that you have to have it all and do it all. And Anne Schillinger sent me this. Isn't this so cute? It's got a little pocket created, and she sent me some zinnia seeds. I just think this is so cute. And then it's just one. I'm going to make sure it's just one. It is. It's a quarter of a piece of cardstock. And she just created the pocket. There's room for her to write on the back. And you can tuck in a little packet of seeds. Isn't that, oh, it's just adorable. Thank you, Anne. And then last week I was dog sitting for my friend Pat and her husband. And Pat is a demonstrator in Perrysburg, Ohio, not far from me. And she gave me this beautiful little thank you card for house sitting and pet sitting so that they could go see family for a couple of days. Isn't that so cute? I love it. I love this, the shimmer paper here. I don't have that. I think I'm going to have to get it because it really adds just enough bling. And there's just a little of it, so it's not overdoing it. And she fussy cutted the one sheet of a designer series paper where you can just like cut it in half and then just have full card fronts. She just fussy cut it around it and then laid it on a different background from that same designer series paper. So thank you for the happy mail, everybody. So many times I forget to show what I've been getting in the mail, and I was gathering it this morning. So let's see, how's everybody doing today? Is there any questions? Where can I get a glue like this one? The glue sponge, Andrea, if you want to ask Linda, she's on right now. Maybe Linda can give you where she saw the idea. If it's her own, maybe she can just guide you in things to make a glue sponge for yourself. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, and I finished last week's card. I forgot to show it to you. I went with just one half square triangle down here in the bottom, and I used my little sprigs, and then I just used the metal dots to finish it off. So that was last week's card that we did. I really have enjoyed making the cards along with you instead of having everything done ahead of time. That's what we're going to do again today. I'm just going to create kind of like on the fly, but not totally on the fly. So I'm going to be using Sentiments from Unbounded Love, and I used this die here to make my labels. And I picked out some sentiments from that stamp set. And one more week I am using the Unbounded something designer series paper. And then I'm going to switch to another designer series paper. But I thought one more week of using the papers that I have been, and then I'll switch. So this is the graph that I made. Now this actually was inspired by a placemat. Look at mug rugs, look at placemats, quilted placemats. The layout, the design easily be converted into a card. They're so close. I mean, mug rugs are pretty close in size. It only takes a little bit of tweaking to get it down to what we want to. But we're going to start out making this pattern, and then we're going to chop it up. Okay, so I had you, I suggested that you pick a piece of cardstock as your foundation. It's going to give it a little bit of weight that we need instead of just the thin, the designer series paper is thinner. If you use a sheet of copy paper or grid paper, it's very thin. So this is going to give some substance to our card fronts. So this is 7.5 by 10. Okay, so 8 plus 1 on the end, that's 10. 5.5 plus 1 on each end is 7.5. Now, instead of getting out a pencil and a ruler, what I'm going to do is I am going to score 1 inch on all 4 sides. It's just going to show me where I need to place the designer series paper. So I'm just going to score. Whoops. Hold on, my scoring blade's a little wonky here. I don't know how that happened. Okay. And I'm just going to use the right side of my trimmer so that the majority of the body of paper has something flat to sit on. And I'm just going to score 1 inch all the way around. The great thing about this pattern is once we chop it up, if you need to tweak your outside edges by trimming them a little bit, just to, let's say you've got some of the foundation showing or whatever, you can easily just trim that a little bit and it's not going. Okay, so I have to look on the, I think I got to do this side. Let's do this side one more time. I picked, this is Sahara Sand. It retired. And so I'm just going to use it. And it's so light that I'm going to have a little bit of a hard time seeing my lines, but maybe it'll be okay. So I've scored 1 inch on all 4 sides. Now let's bring in that little 2-inch square that I had you prepare. It's going to be our 4 corners. So they're going to be 1 inch. So I'm just going to place that on the 1 inch line. We're going to cut it in half. And then we're going to cut these in half again. So we're going to get 4 1-inch squares. So we've got our 4 1-inch squares. And now let's take this piece it was 4 inches by 8 inches. We're going to cut 2 1-inch strips. And we need that full 8 inches for the pattern. And actually for the next 2 strips, they only need to be 5.5 inches long. So you can either go ahead and trim this down to 5.5 and then cut it in half lengthwise again, or you can just cut it in half and go down the middle. But I'm going to just turn it to 5.5 inches because I can use this scrap a lot easier than I could use 2 of these that are only 1 inch wide. So now that I've got that at 5.5 inches, we'll put it at 1 inch. And we've got our other 2 pieces. We are ready to go. Okay, and then for the middle of the pattern, I chose a multicolored floral here. So if I bring this back in and I lay this down here, and 2 of these 5.5 inch pieces are going to be there. I like to put my borders on first, and here I'm testing the pattern. Before I start gluing anything down, I want to test it out. I like to start with my borders, and then I'll fit in my 4 corners. And I'm going to go with the orange. I am a big fan of pink and orange together. So here's going to be our quilt block. Again, this was inspired by a placemat pattern. Okay. So now that I see the design, I'm going to slide that over. I'm going to bring in my foundation. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to glue this down. Now you want to make sure that you cover it really well with glue. When we chop it up, if you see any areas that need a little glue to help hold the whole piece down, you can go back in and touch it up. Okay, and I am going to put this right in the center, and I'm using those score lines to guide me. I could have just eyeballed it, because like I said, you can always trim it up in the end. Once we chop this up, there's it's not going to hurt to trim it up, and if one side doesn't match the other, it's not that big of a deal. So there we have our center, and now I am going to do my sides first. Now I can see that my Designer Series paper is going to stick out beyond my foundation a little bit. That's okay, because I can trim it off. So what might be easier is to just put the glue on my foundation piece instead of trying to put it on the back of this, and then I got glue that's gonna come off onto something else. I'll just keep all the glue on the cardstock underneath, and I won't be like transferring it to something else. Gonna bring in the other side. This is a pattern that works really good with any kind of Designer Series paper. Christmas, quick and easy Christmas cards. I kind of fell away from my big goal of making Christmas cards with the versions of patterns that I've been showing you, but I have been doing some when I follow some other demonstrators. That's kind of like my downtime to play, and so I've been using that time to get some more Christmas cards done. And then one more side. This is just so great for, I mean, being able to handle larger pieces instead of tiny, tiny pieces all the time. This just gives our hands a break. It's quick and easy. We could have easily cut all of these pieces down to make one card front at a time. But why? But why? Not when we can do it like this. So now I'm going to bring in my 1-inch squares. And what I like about this is I can put the glue right down to my foundation, and I'm not trying to put glue on the back of my piece and then handle it. Just simple, simple. We want to make things easy for ourselves. I'm amazed at how this is lining up pretty good. I mean, I'm usually wonky at something. And by using like a neutral background, I don't really see that Sahara sand. Even like if I don't get the pieces really, really tight to each other, it's not quite as noticeable. If I would have used a really dark piece of cardstock and I didn't get my designer series paper butted right up to each other, it might peek through. Oh, I've got a question. How many of you found the information I shared helpful yesterday about finding what is your light, your medium, and your dark values in your paper? Because our eye can easily pick out, if you've got 3 pieces of designer series paper in front of you, like this is easy to see that this is my light. That's easy to see. But when it came to these two here, they are kind of close. And I wanted my darker designer series paper, my darker value, to be next to the light one so that the contrast was there, and the patterns and everything didn't run into each other and you couldn't see what was going on. And then next to my darker value, I put the medium, and you can see the difference between the light and the medium when they're together like that. So I was just curious, did it make sense? Did it help you? It's something that I learned to do when I was picking out fabric. You're pulling bolts of fabric, and let's say you're needing 6 or 8 different colors and values. If you stack those bolts of fabric on top of each other and take a picture and go to black and white and grays, you can usually see, oh, this is my light, this is my medium, and this is my dark. And if that plays into your pattern, it can make the process easier in choosing, your fabrics. So, Emily, I thought that I had done a PDF on this back in 2022. I didn't find it in the files, and it kind of, made me stop and think, because I remember making this grid. So I had mentioned I have some other PDFs for other projects that I'm doing that I need to get caught up on, and then I can go back. But I can scan this and put it into a PDF, or if you want to screenshot this right now, it has all your dimensions, and go back and look at yesterday's post where I gave you cutting instructions, and you can go from there. So you can create kind of like your own pattern, make your own notes right now, and then I can get caught up once I have some other commitments done. Okay. Hi, Lori. So Vesta, you saw that it corrected you on your choices? Wonderful. So there's that. So back to this. I was just letting my glue have a chance to dry. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I can see that I've got some designer series paper just kind of sticking out over here on the edge. Is that going to make a really big difference? I think I'm going to trim up this side, because you can see that it's not flush with the long side. Okay. But when I'm looking all the way across the top here, I can really leave that. This here, there was a distinction between this being flush and this piece sticking out here. We're going to chop this up. This edge is not going to affect anything else, so I can leave it alone. Instead of trying to fuss with just that little smidge that's hanging out there, I think I'm going to leave it alone. I can always trim it up when I go to put my card together. So bring in your trimmer. We're going to chop it up now. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this in half in both directions. So if I had 10 inches on the long side, I'm going to line this up at 5. And I'm going to cut. Now I'm going to turn it. Half of 7.5 is 3 3/4. So this card front is 3 3/4 by 5. I chose that number because if you want to put a layer behind it, you can, or you can leave it and have a bigger border on your card base. So 3 3/4. Okay. And 3 3/4. So now I just created 4 card fronts. If you wanted to make this bigger, you just adjust the numbers. But when I was doing my diagram, my grid paper is only so wide. So it didn't leave me a lot of room to expand it any differently, but you can easily do the math and then just chop it up. So here, I could do a landscape, I can do portrait. There's another landscape with, so here we have 4 different card fronts. So now we need to quilt, okay? I'm going to let you decide. I just got some new embossing folders. What do we want to try? I've got the circle. I've got the crochet. And I've got, this is called dashing designs. Should I do one of each, or I've only got 3 folders, or do we just do them all the same? What do you think? Hi, Doris. Okay, great. So Emily got it screenshotted. Wonderful. Crochet, one of each. You know what? Let's do one of each. Yeah, let's do one of each. Let's just see how different these are going to be. Okay, so this one, oh my goodness. Have you ever seen quilting that's been done on a quilting on a quilt? It sounded so silly when I was thinking about saying it. But the long arm artists that I have used to quilt my my pieces, I love it when she does like these circles all around. And so when I saw this, it reminded me of Karen's machine quilting. So let's really, I'm just going to eyeball this because the circles, it's not really something that I've got to have centered, but I'm trying to see where, it doesn't matter. Okay, I am going to, now do I want it debossed? I'm going to do it embossed because I want to see what the texture looks like. We can always check the debossed on the back, and maybe I'll do my 4th one the other way. But I'm going to step away for a second. Let's see what this looks like. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, look at that. Can you see the texture? Oh, that is really cool. So I love the texture sitting on top. Look what the debossed side looks like. Okay, since I had 4 pieces, I'm gonna do one that's debossed. So if I want to deboss the front, I'm gonna open my folder. The Stampin' Up! Is always usually on the emboss side. So I'm gonna turn my piece over. And I can kind of use this as a guide to see. Okay, let's just do it. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see this. Oh, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. Oh, okay. Okay. I like it. I think for this, I prefer the embossed side, but I like that the texture is sitting down in. Do you have a favorite? Can you, let's see if I turn it a, nope, that's not good. That's not showing you anything. I think I really like the texture sitting on top. I'll still use this, but just for comparison, we needed to do it, okay? And let's do one with the cute crochet. Oh, I like this. Look at this. It looks like, oh my gosh. I didn't open it until right before we went live. This is like a quilt pattern already. You've got your little squares. Right here's a 9 patch. Right here's a 4 patch. Okay, you got to get this embossing folder. Because you could do a 4 patch based on what the width of these squares are. And you could have different patterns. This makes like you're customizing your quilt block. You got to get the, oh, everybody's got to get this. Gotta get it. Okay, I'm just going to put this in for the emboss. Let's see if I can line this up. No, it's not going to. So I'm just going to, I was going to try and get it specifically to fit. I'm going to have to play with that because it's definitely something. I might try to line up that center a little bit. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I have a feeling the other one, the other embossing folder is going to be great too. Oh, I like discovering this with you guys. Oh, okay. So it's very subtle. Oh, I love that it is a very subtle texture. So if you're looking for some texture that doesn't really stand up on top, this is the folder for you. Love how that feels. And let's just take a look at it on the back. You could dress up even just a sheet of cardstock with just this pattern, giving it texture. Look at that. Okay, so cool. Everybody's got to get this one. Now let's try the dashing designs. I have a feeling I'm going to like this one too. I think it's going to be one of those that just has that awesome texture that you can feel, but it's not so busy and so puffy that it competes with a busier designer series paper, a busier pattern. Let's see what this looks like. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, let's see. Oh, I like this one too. Again, not as puffy as the circles. Not as puffy as the circles. Definitely has the feel of the texture, but look at, can you see the little dots there? Oh, wow. Love this one also. Oh, look at the back. Oh my goodness. We can dress up just plain cardstock. And this is gorgeous. This and a label and maybe some greenery sticking out of it. You're done. I mean, this is beautiful texture. This is going to open up a lot of doors for using your cardstock also, instead of just designer series paper. Love, love, love. Way to go, Stampin' Up! For us quilt card makers, this is awesome. I love it. Okay, so we have our card fronts. Sorry, I was getting a little carried away there. Little excited. So again, these finish when you cut them at 3 3/4 by 5. So if you wanted to layer a 4 by 4 1/4 inch piece behind it to create a border, you can do that. Now I went ahead and I pulled out some cardstock in colors that coordinate with the colors that are in the designer series paper. Now my really bold colors like Berry Burst and Pretty Peacock, they set a bold tone where, let's bring this in. Berry Burst, okay, the computer's not showing the true color here. Berry Burst and Pretty Peacock, those are really bold. So those might be good colors to set the quilt block. That would be the layer behind your quilt pattern. And then put a lighter color as your card base. You just gotta play. Like what color really shows off your quilt block. If I'm going to do a border, I don't like that. That doesn't do anything for my pattern. It doesn't sit it down. It looks like it's just floating. This gets a little better. Still, I'm not so sure. That's Calypso Coral. Pretty in Pink. Not so bad, but it runs together with my colors too much, and you really don't see that it has a job to do to sit the quilt block down. Nope, definitely not. Now here's where I'm getting to the bolder one. Do you see how this helps define the quilt block? It sets it down. My eye is not wandering all over the place. This is my border. I know it's my border. It's there. It sets it. That's not too bad. If you want a softer, if you're looking for a softer card, something more feminine or something soothing and comforting, Pool Party works. This sets it down. The Pretty Peacock, it's pretty dark, but it does bring out the Pretty Peacock that's in the designer series paper. I'm kind of on the fence with that. It could be good if I only use it as the layer and then see how it has contrast with my card base. So possibilities there. This one, to me, what my eye see and what your eye will see can be totally two different things. I just feel like this doesn't have a lot of contrast, but it doesn't mean that it won't work. So just things to think about when, or if you don't even want to put a border behind it, then, you know, you can just find a card base that you want to put this on. So, I'm going to go back to You know what? I just want to see if something here. I'm going to make a layer out of Pretty Peacock. So I'm going to cut it at 4 by 5 1/4. It can be 4 and 5 1/4. You can go up an 1/8 and do 3 7/8 by, but let's just keep it easy. 4 by 5 1/4. And then this really shows up good on Pool Party. Look at the contrast there. And that Pretty Peacock, while it looks bold as a large piece, when you see just the borders around it, it just sits it down. And then what we'll do is in portrait or landscape mode, then what we'll do is we'll bring in our labels, and we can put a label down here. And you can add more things to it. You can add embellishments, ribbon. I just cut some shapes out with the die from the Unbounded Beauty bundle. Where's another one I did? So you can just play with where you want to sit your label. And again, you can add some greenery around it if you want to, or you can just, to keep it simple, is stamp your sentiment, put some gems around it, and call it done. And you're ready to move on to another card. So I'm going to do one in Pool Party, and I think I'm going to keep this peach pie one. So let's cut a card base. I'm just going to do a regular card base. So I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. We're going to do all our scoring at once for 2 card bases. And then we'll cut it in half. The longest side of my cardstock's 11 inches, so we'll cut it at 10 1/2, which is half. And now I've got 2 card bases. Let's burnish our score line here. Make sure everything's lining up. And you know, the different designer series papers that you use and the colors that you choose, like if we did all neutrals, this would be a good design even with the airplane paper for masculine cards. It just works, this layout just works really good with any paper. Oh, I love Pool Party and Pretty Peacock together. It reminds me of Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent. Those 2 colors together were my favorite when they were current. And could put it even over here so that they're not on the same side. You could put it in the middle. I don't know. I like it offset to the left just a little bit. But there's a card there. And then let's look at, what if we did, let's do one where, let's do the circle one, where the Berry Burst is going to set our quilt pattern. And then let's look at, what about Pretty in Pink? Or maybe we'll just use the other Pool Party. You could do the Pretty in Pink. What is, oh, or you could use Pool Party. I think I'm going to do Pretty in Pink. Just to kind of soften and keep kind of my mat and my card base kind of like monochromatic, just, you know, different shades of the same color family. So let's cut this one at 4. By 5 1/4. And then let's create a couple of card bases again. I'm just going to make it easy and just stick with the same Same card base layout. So we're gonna score it at 4 1/4, cut it at 5 1/2, and have 2 card bases. Let's see. And we'll do this one. We're actually gonna make this a landscape version. So our fold will be on the top, and we're in landscape mode. Put that down. Where was the one I was using? Oh, I brought in the one with the dots. Do that. And then I could just put, oh, I like it down here, right at the bottom. Kind of like even it out. Now, if you don't like the white, you could find another color to bring in. I mean, what if we brought in the pretty in pink? Or, you know, I'm going to stamp on these, so I want to make sure that my ink is going to show up. So keep that in mind when you're picking out color, if you're going to make your label anything other than white. So here we have this one. We've got this one. Now, okay, here's a color combo that looks, let's see if we can make this one work. So our color family is the orangey yellows. Let's just see. Let's use this one. Oh, it really brings out the Calypso coral that's in the florals here. Let's do it. It's a whole different look. Okay. Again, nothing fancy to what the card base is going to look like. It's not a Z fold. It's not an easel. We're just keeping it easy peasy so that you can knock out some cards. You can always put, uh-oh, I just lost my scoring blade. Okay. You can always put your folds at the top so it's a little different. We're just gonna play with these three anyway. Because the one that we did where the dots were debossed, I gotta think about that one. I'm gonna use it, but let's focus on, you know, we chose a pattern for each of the embossing folders that I had just got. So here I'm just off camera cutting my mat. Let's make this a portrait one, but instead of having our orange square, okay, portrait, it's going to open. My folds on the left. Let's put that orange square in the opposite corner. Okay, not bad. It's got a whole different feel. See if we can get them all in camera there. And then again, where do we want to put our label? Could put, oh, I like it up there, separating it. It's actually just like the one we did, but we just kind of flipped things around. So it's got a totally different feel to me when I have my sentiment up here at the top instead of at the bottom. So what do you think for the layouts? Something that you'll give a go? Hi, Sharon. Thank you for being here. Hi, Kathy. Kathy, I think once you try the tool of taking the color out of the pieces that you chose, and once you see which one is your light, which one's a medium, which one is a dark value, not dark in color, but in value. And then as you're putting your pieces together, be putting them together in a way that you don't lose that part of the pattern. So where this is light, by putting a darker value next to it, you can totally distinguish between the two pieces. And then bring in your medium between the two, and it all just kind of, it's very pleasing to the eye. So, you know, you may think that this is my dark value, this is my medium value. Test it out by taking a picture and taking the color out. Sometimes you will be spot on. You had it figured out just from looking at it. Sometimes you'll be surprised at between the medium and the dark, really which one is which. So just try that, practice that, and I think you'll be pretty confident in choosing your colors. Emily likes the dotted embossing folder, is your favorite. Hi, Jane. Hey, Betty. Thank you for being here. Jasmine's here. Darlene, thank you for being here. I'm seeing some new names and I love it. Hi, Karen. Deborah. You guys, thank you so much for spending your Thursday morning with me. So, let's look at the sentiments that are in. Now, here are some other labels that are in this bundle. These here are just, they create some frames that you could put on top of another piece. Here, so this lays flat. But this is the die right here that I chose to use. But they've got some other frames that you can use for your sentiments. And I pulled out Happy Birthday just for you, and My Heart Goes Out to You, because that would make a pretty sympathy card. Being that it's a quilt card, quilts are very comforting, and if you know the loved one's favorite colors, you could do a sympathy card with the favorite colors. You know, you could personalize it. So I brought out the sentiments, and I think instead of bringing more color in, like, you know, 3 different inks, I want to see what just basic Memento Black. If you want a softer color, go with Pebbled Path. Even basic gray is softer. If you don't want black, I'm gonna try black. And let's do a Happy Birthday. I just re-inked that, and it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't matter, Julie, just stamp it. And I've got a stamp down here close to my body. So, oh, and who doesn't love pink and black together? Ooh, you can tell where I got a little heavy re-inking my pad where the ink is a little more saturated. But there's Happy Birthday. Let's do, now My Heart Goes Out to You. This is one where I might want to go with a softer color like Pebbled Path. Being that it's a sympathy card, you might want to choose a softer color. I love the mixed font on that. Here leaves a little room if you want to put a couple of gems. Oh, and now this one, this sentiment is more vertical. That gives you an option too, but I'm not gonna do that. If anything, I'll put some gems around it to take up the space. Oh gosh, I'm trying to stamp away from myself and it just feels so wonky. So I need to come down here. Again, notice I'm gonna have to take a spoon and kind of even out my ink on the ink pad there. And then there's Just For You. So I love the sentiments. I love the different fonts in this bundle. I may redo this one because I really wish I was even on my coverage there, but it's all good. And now I don't remember which ones I used where, but oh, this one was down here, I think, on that one. Kind of gets lost in everything. Now, if it's more in just the white, it stands out. And you can pop these up with dimensionals so that, you know, they're sitting on top. I don't know. You just got to play. You just got to play. I think... I don't remember how I had these when we had them all. I don't remember. Oh well. This gives you an idea of what you can do with them. And just let that one big piece that we did, by chopping it up, it went really quick. Instead of cutting all of these pieces individually and laying them down individually, we just started big and we went small and we're done. So that's today's pattern. I need to play with these a little bit. I'm not so sure what I want to do here. I gotta play. So this gives me a project to work on. This afternoon. You can bring in ribbon to embellish. I am really not impressed. I'm really happy that a lot of the embellishments in the new catalog lay flatter than previous catalogs. They're flat. They don't stick up as much. This is the In Color Shimmer gem, so I can, you know, these colors tie in with the colors that are going on in the card. So I'm going to try and just keep it simple and be able to create a bunch of cards all at once. So when your cards are done, please share them over in the group that's called Quilt Cards and More. That's where we do all of our sharing, and see what other people have done to take these cards a step further. Here's something I wanted to do. We don't have anything glued down. So if you want a bigger border around your block, then you can take the layer away and you see more of a border. Now maybe you're going to want to change the color of your card to, like, what if we had cut a card base that was very burst, and it would leave more of a border and it would really define the pattern from the background. You just got to play. But if you want a bigger border around your quilt block, then take that layering piece out and just go with a color of card base that's got a lot of contrast to what you've got going on in the colors of your quilt block. Again, I would probably, if I wasn't using a border, I would make my card base berry burst because it's got a lot of contrast next to the three colors that it'll be up against. So just throwing that out there. So please share what your how your cards finished, and have a really, really blessed day. Enjoy creating, and I can't wait to see what gets shared over in the group. So if there's, I'm just going to check for some questions real quick. And Deborah's happy her iPad worked the whole way through. Well, I hope that stays like that, Deborah, for any future demonstrators or things that you're wanting to watch. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Please share, and I will check in with into the group a little later to see what surprises are waiting for us, okay? So I will talk with everybody later.